Another thing parents can do is talk to kids about how does using social media make them feel? What are some positives with it? What are some negatives with it? How can we talk about these things and monitor these things? And if you are struggling in certain areas with it, what can we put into place to help you out in that capacity?
BusinessJournalDaily.com 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
Save, borrow, and invest with Farmers. Take heart knowing you're helping create a strong community. Mind your money at Farmers. Talk directly to local decision makers about your loans, investments, and insurance. Farmers. Fiercely local, fiercely loyal.
During and after the COVID epidemic, we started to really become more aware of the mental health crisis with our youth, with our children and our teenagers. And a lot of people really attributed that to the pandemic. And while that was definitely a factor, that really just exacerbated an already existing problem. We had already been in a mental health crisis with our youth. It just might not have been as apparent to everyone. And really, what the research has shown that was a major factor, and that has been just the rapid increase in use of social media among our youth and teens. The technology develops so quickly, and oftentimes quicker than I think parents and caregivers were able to really understand and keep up with. So we didn't necessarily have lots of good rules and family rules and restrictions, and families didn't have like knowledge and usage plans with their kids and things about how to use social media safely. And so things kind of escalated quickly without necessarily having like plans for that. Another thing is some children were gaining access to social media right around the time that some real fundamental shifts were happening with their brain development. So around the ages of between like 10 and 12 years old, there's a shift that's going on with our children's brains where they are like their reward center for attention is like really being turned on. So they're really seeking that attention and approval specifically from their peers. Mm-hmm. And so social media just kind of really feeds into that. And so it can really like make them feel, really good, like raise those dopamine levels and everything when they first start using social media, because they're getting this attention, they're getting this approval, they're getting likes and follows and comments and all of this. And so it kind of feeds that, change that's going on in their brain. But they don't realize how quickly that can kind of turn without the proper restrictions in place and plans in place to do this in a safe, moderate way. It can turn into some mental health issues and problems. Some of the mental health issues that we have seen through use of social media include increases in depression, increases in anxiety, and particularly with girls, we've seen increases in body image problems, some individuals with eating disorders, and also some increases in suicidal ideation. I'm a big proponent of holding off on cell phones in general longer than most parents. I have 3 kids. They're young adults and teenager at this point. But with all of them, we waited until they were 13 for them to get a cell phone, and then until they were at least 15 for their first social media. And there's a lot of research to back that up, that children younger than 13 really don't necessarily have, the developmental capacity to be able to handle everything that comes along with having a smartphone. Now, there can be some safety reasons and different reasons why a younger child might need a phone to be able to, contact their parent in an emergency or things like that. But it doesn't have to be a smartphone that comes with the internet and with social media and a lot of things that younger kids just really don't need to be exposed to. So I think that paying attention to a child's age and not necessarily, doing the research as parents, we need to be responsible to do the research and kind of see, when is a good age, but also knowing our kids, because not all 13-year-olds are the same, not all 10-year-olds are the same, not all 12-year-olds the same, so forth. So we have to really look at their individual developmental levels, their emotional well-being. Another thing parents can do is talk to kids about how does using social media make them feel? What are some positives with it? What are some negatives with it? How can we talk about these things and monitor these things? And if you are struggling in certain areas with it, what can we put into place to help you out in that capacity? We can help our kids maybe come up with a usage plan where they have limits on how many hours of their day, or minutes of their day are they going to allow themselves to be on certain social media platforms. Just have an open communication with your child, and there's settings in your phone where you can take a look at how much time you spent on all the different parts of your, all the different applications of your phone. And so maybe just like having some conversation about, wow, it looks like this week your time that you spent on Snapchat like really increased. What was going on? How did that, maybe affect you? Like just helping them be aware even just of how much time they're putting into these things.
BusinessJournalDaily.com 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
Save, borrow, and invest with Farmers. Take heart knowing you're helping create a strong community. Mind your money at Farmers. Talk directly to local decision makers about your loans, investments, and insurance. Farmers. Fiercely local, fiercely loyal.